Put on the ring for her. Come on, him. Did he get on his one knee? Yo, no freaking way. We often hold those that we are the most endear and cherish and care about to higher standards. In other words, the people who possess the power to hurt us the most, aka disappointment and anger and bitterness, are often the ones who we care the most about. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist. This episode 14 masterfully intertwines nostalgia, emotional communication, and personal growth. It highlights how people express love in different ways, whether through words, actions, or symbolic gestures. It also beautifully spotlights how past experiences shape emotional expressions, responses, reminding all of us of the significance of small and meaningful moments. I know this episode isn't that high up on the IMDb rating for a lot of viewers, but my goal is to make every video and every episode your favorite. So we shall see if I can achieve that goal today. This video is sponsored by Assassins Nation Zero, our new sponsor tier, and shout out to the best patron family. Let's tune in. Oh, they're at a new town? Immediate flashback.
そうだフリーレン後で一緒に買い物に行こうここはいい店もたくさんありそうだ別にいいけど
We start this episode with an immediate flashback, and can we talk about how seamless and how awesome that transition was? Blurring of the flashback and present with literally no frame immediate transition. That was awesome. And I'm very curious to see the immediate difference that we can notice with Frieren the first time she was here with her previous heroes party with Himo the hero and Haiter the lay bishop. And shout out to Haiter for being so real, as some of the viewers commented in the last episode with the episode of the true hero, where Haiter was a corrupted hero. And there are so many heroes out there, right? Like Stark was a coward hero, even though he was not a coward, but rather he ran away because he was merely a child, and his brother actually told him to run away because there's no point of causing extra casualties and death. So I'm very curious to see the difference and evolution since the get-go of how Frieren displays her emotion more freely this time around with her second renewed heroes party of Stark, Sign, and Frieren, or with FERN versus her first time around. And I'm sure we'll see countless and numerous symbolic interpretations in this episode. 이꼬세. In Korean, 빨리 가자. Privilege of the young. Interesting.
そこまで言わなくたっていいだろう。いつも気使うたりやがって。そんなに俺のことが嫌いかよ。
What's happening?
師匠のところに帰る。
Oh. Is it the privilege of the young?
いつもちょっとぐらい聞いてくれてもいいだろう。
Lovers quarrel? Is that what's happening? Called it.
今日フェルンの誕生日なんだけど、シュタルクがプレゼント用意していなくてね。
I see. So Fern's sad.
切れちゃったの。正直今日は言い過ぎだと思うよ。シュタルクの話全然聞いてあげないしさ。
Fern is sulking.
男っていうのは誕生日とか記念日とかそういう細かいことは気にしない生き物なんだ。わかった。買ってくるからローキックやめて。こういうの後で膝に来るから。
So I love how this episode starts, and I'm excited to share some helpful therapeutic knowledge with you guys. So Fern is sulking, and it looks like they're having an air quote lovers quarrel. We see that Fern is disappointed and sad and mad at Stark. Why? Because he apparently forgot her birthday. And this is an interesting parallel to the last episode where Stark it was his 18th birthday, but what happens? Fern and Frieren were talking about birthday gifts, and Fern didn't even know it was Stark's birthday. Who reminded her with that vulgar potion? It was Frieren. But of course, Fern put in the effort to buy the cheap bracelets because the gold bracelet was too expensive. He's like, nah, too expensive. And that was really funny. But what if Stark say? Stark said that it's my birthday, which parallels with science said. Science said men don't really care about birthdays and anniversaries. Of course, every man's different. Some don't and some do. Like for me, my birthday doesn't have to be anything crazy, lavish, or extravagant. I just want to have a really, really nice, tasty meal with my wife and my sister, my brother-in-law, and my close friends. That's about it. I don't really care about gifts, personally speaking. And I'm excited to teach you guys about the 5 languages of love. But before that concept, one thing I want to zoom in on and highlight is with great expectations comes great disappointments. We often hold those that we are the most endear and cherish and care about to higher standards. In other words, the people who possess the power to hurt us the most, aka disappointment and anger and bitterness, are often the ones who we care the most about. Why did Fern get so mad and disappointed at Stark? Why did even Frieren say that, Fern, you are too harsh this time? You don't listen to anything that Stark says. Because Fern cares deeply about Stark and their meaningful relationship, romantic or otherwise. And also at this rate, I'm pretty sure there will be a romantic interest between Fern and Stark, mirroring what? Frieren and Himo the hero. The mage of the past, yes, I know, Frieren's still alive, but you get my point. Mage of the past and the hero of the past versus mage of the present, which is Fern, and warrior of the present, which is Stark. So with that being said, I want to share the knowledge about 5 languages of love. Because that little scene, seemingly innocuous and comical, is actually pretty deep. It talks about the power and the importance of emotional expression. Unless we tell other people how we feel, they're not going to perceive it as such. At the same time, everyone is different. All of us have different upbringing, different perceptions of love. So it's important to not just caring about the intent. It's always intention versus impact. Yes, intention matters a lot, of course. But what's equally, if not more important, often is impact. What is the impact of my action and my words, or in this case, lack thereof? So 5 languages of love is a pretty basic but profound concept especially for a lot of new relationships that we don't quite fully understand each other yet. We don't quite fully know what makes the other person tick. So here's the 5 languages of love. I encourage you to try this, incorporate this with your families and your significant other, your boyfriends or girlfriends. And I promise you, if you incorporate 5 languages love that I'm teaching you today, it will buffer and even mitigate a lot of the relational conflict. Because again, it's not always about the intent. It's more about the impact. Because if we love the other person, but they don't feel it, what's the point? You get disappointed and you get bitter. The other person gets disappointed and they also get hurt. So here's the 5 languages of love. First one, act of service. Buying you a meal, picking you up for your special day, taking you somewhere, act of service. 2, quality time. Like for my birthday, I just want to spend quality time with those that I love. 3, gift giving, which is what Fern did in the last episode, buying gifts. 4, words of affirmation. Hey, I love you. Hey, I care about you. Hey, happy birthday. Hey, happy anniversary. And the 5th, physical touch. Holding hands, giving each other a hug, cuddling together, and whatnot. And this is not in a respective order. There is no hierarchy here. It's just 5 different languages love. And some people perceive their love through act of service, quality time, such as myself. Like my wife, she receives love through words of affirmation. Hey, you had a rough day. How was your day? I love you so much. You're my wife. You're beautiful. And so on. Some people perceive love through physical touch, holding hands, and so on. So here's the complete list of the 5 languages of love. So to close out my analysis, here's the important parts. It's not always about how you express your languages of love, but rather how the other person perceives and receives the languages of love. So after this video, I encourage you and challenge you to go to your families or the people that you love and do an interview. Find out what is their languages of love, how they perceive love, and how they express their love, and how you express love, and how you perceive love. And this will mediate a lot of emotional miscommunication, which is the theme that I'm highlighting and sensing from Fern and Stark's quarrel.
まったくシュタルクがかわいそうだぜ俺ぐらいの年になると冷たくされてもある程度流せるがあの年の男子は女の子の言動に一喜一憂するからな追いかけた方がいいと思うぜ
That's a good advice. Because now Stark is also hurt.
言った方がいいんじゃない？
Stark's also sad. Right there, we see that Stark just glanced at his bracelets, and there's a lot of symbolism and jewelry throughout this show. So I'm going to pay more attention to jewelry, like that ring. In the last episode, that Frieren was looking at the suitcase after she pulled out the vulgar potion, which is a callback to the first episode, as some viewers pointed out. So I'm going to be extra attuned and attentive to the jewelries. So case in point right here. Stark looked at the bracelets, which is a birthday gift gifted by Fern. And what I'm thinking is Stark is probably feeling upset and also feeling guilty that, damn, I don't always express love and caring through words, but can't Fern feel my love and affection through actions? And that's how a lot of men operate. It's a general blanket statement because every man and woman are different, of course. But I'm sure Stark is also going through his internal dialogue. Man, why doesn't she feel my love? Doesn't she know? Of course I care about her. We went through life and death, so many adventures together. But of course, we know for Fern, her languages of love is apparently different than Stark's languages of love. And a lot of men and women do express and perceive love differently because we are wired and genetically different, which is why the concept is very, very helpful in relationship. So I think that's a foreshadowing of Stark most likely purchasing, I'm guessing, another bracelet, also to Fern for the birthday and to amend the relationship. So that's my guess. Fern can't do it.
そういえば髪飾りも蝶だったな
かわいいポーチですね。
かわいい。
嫌いか
いいえ、ただ女慣れしていそうで不快です。
そうかシュタルクは見つかったのか
広場にいたのですが。
話しかけられなかったか
Yep, she couldn't.
いや嫌いなわけじゃないんだろ
You like him
同
too
年
much.
代の男子との接し方がわからないだけだ、青春だね
Privilege of the young.
好きなの選んでいいぞ別の店回ってもいいし
いいえ、結構です。
じゃあ勝手に選ぶなしかしプレゼント忘れたとしても怒りすぎだと思うぞあいつ絶対そんなマメなタイプじゃないだろ
True.
自分の誕生日も覚えていないぜ
Facts from last
それならかわいそう
episode.
だ
私はシュタルク様の誕生日にプレゼントをあげました。
そん時は一緒に選んだのか
なんでそれを？
好きなの選んでいい断るやつなんか普通いないぜきっとそれが大切な思いだから断った
ただなんとなくそうしたくなったんです。
ならさっさとシュタルクに謝って一緒にプレゼント選んでこい
Good feedback. Words of the
あいつはガキな
wise.
んだ察しは良くないぜ
Slow on the uptake.
仲直
Missing
り
a
したいんだ
string.
ろ思いってのは言葉にしないと伝わらないんだぜ
That was a great scene. And also, can we take a moment of silence and appreciate all the masterful and beautiful and powerful subtle details? Did you see the camera zooming in on Fern, kind of playing with her fingers when she, I guess, was grabbing onto her cloth? because she felt nervous. She wanted to approach Stark, but she couldn't. Maybe because of her ego, maybe like what Science said, she doesn't know how to interact with boys her age. And a lot of viewers commented this, where even with previous episode of To the North or the Northern Lands, when FERN said no to Stark offering to help carrying Frieren on her back in the freaking crazy snow, because of the gestures of Stark made to like, give me Frieren. And that's a very lewd gesture. When I do it, it feels very wrong. FERN's like, no, pervert. And a lot of viewers said that's possibly psychological projecting what she feels or what she's assuming. That might be partially true, because she's only dealt with older men like Haitra the Bishop, who raised her, which is basically her surrogate father, and Frieren, who is her mentor and surrogate mother. So she never dealt with any other men. Only other male she dealt with is Kraft the monk. And when he was working out in the cabin, what did she say? There's a freak, let's run away. So she has no experience with boys of her age, as if she's an empty canvas. And we don't know what we don't know. So I think Science is something very wise. And to close off my analysis right here, Science parted and gifted FERN with some profound wisdom. Unless you tell them how you feel, they won't know it. That sounds so simple. Unless you tell them how you feel, they're not going to know how you feel. It's seemingly simple on the surface, but it's profound, and it is importance and the necessity of emotional expression. Exhibit A, Stark and his master, Eisen the Warrior. Stark initially got so sad and defeated with small ego or bruised ego, feeling hopeless, feeling helpless, feeling lonely, because he thought that his master, who he cares deeply about, Eisen the Warrior, was also Stark's surrogate father, because Stark's father was a shitty father, but he was raised or partially raised by an amazing brother, another hero, right? So Stark was deeply hurt because Eisen the Warrior never expressed what he meant. He never kicked him out because he thought Stark was a hero, but rather Eisen the Warrior was reflexively threatened. Fight, flight, or freeze, the primary fear responses I talked about, because of the dormants and the power within Stark that Eisen the Warrior felt during their fighting drill or fighting combat. And Eisen the Warrior never expressed love either, like for Stark's birthday. But what did he do instead? He made him the giant hamburger steak, which means anyone who tries their best is a great warrior. And this is a symbolic gesture for meaningful people with meaningful experiences and the people they care deeply about. So Stark also never understood emotional expression. Why? Because his role model of Eisen the Warrior also never learned or never expressed their emotions. That's why Stark doesn't know how to express their emotions. But in this case, FERN also is troubling and having difficulty expressing her emotions, such as apologies, which is what Science said beautifully. What a wholesome episode so far. So desu ne.
蹴ってすみませんでした。
Nice. Privilege of the Young. What a great episode title. You see that Fern's already smiling, her facial expressions are already improved. I wanted to pause right before Fern and Stark's wholesome exchange. I'm sure that's to come. We see Stark looking at Himmel's statue once again. This mirrors in the last episode 12 when Stark was also looking at the hero's sword in the dungeon after they defeated the king of the mountain. And as some viewers highlighted, which I do agree, retrospectively, that when he was looking at the sword, I think he was thinking about who is worthy to pull out the sword. Even though I think as viewers, we can agree that sword is a distraction, because it's not about who pulls out the sword, but rather that heroes that choose their own destinies, heroes who self-become even without the sword. I think Stark was thinking about another hero in his life, the first hero in his life, his brother, which we of course agree. And in this case, Stark is looking at Himo the hero statue once again, which is the most legendary and most well-known hero in the past 2 lifetimes, which is Himo the hero. And I think my take of the symbolism here is I think Stark is looking at the heroes of the past as an emerging and a becoming of a hero himself. It's this breaking of space and time continuum that I talked about with hero of the present reconnecting and reminiscing of the hero of the past. Very deep. It's been an all day with the sunset.
ごめん
Aww.
本当は一緒に選びに行きたかったんだ俺フェルンが好きなものが分からなかったから
That's why he didn't buy him any gift.
こんなこと言ったらまた嫌がられるかもと思って言い出せなかったんだ
Emotional expression.
たりなんかしませんよ。シュタルク様、すみませんでした。私の方こそ言い過ぎました。
Lover's quarrel is being amended.
慣れてるから
本当にすみませんでした。
I'm used to your verbal abuse. I'm dead.
行こうぜ
Aw,
はい。
look at Fern's brightening up. Her aura changed literally. It's gonna be Frieren and Sign watching them. Called it
フリーレン
ザインこそ
the wise and the old looking after the young. Privilege of the young.
大人になって人との距離感が分かるようになると衝突することすら避けるようになる。ああいうのは若者の特権だな。今まで苦労しただろうフリーレン。ガキの世話は大変そうだ。
人との距離感って何？
ガキ3人だったか。フェルン、俺に相談しに来たぞ。あんたにじゃなくて、一体俺を誰と比べて誰と重ねているんだろうな。
フェルンは
High
ハイ
to
タ
the
ーに
bishop.
育てられたからね。
Exactly.
そんな偉大な僧侶と比べられちゃたまったもんじゃないぜ。
全然偉大じゃないよ。酒飲みでよっていたし、
アンデッドかな
The corrupt
好
priest.
き嫌い多いし。やめろ。よく嘘もついた。
お酒飲んでないよ。
ただの生臭坊主だったよ。
Oh, so good.
上回る破壊層だけど。
悪かったな。でも意外だったな。俺の記憶にあるハイター様は優しくて頼りがいのあるじいさんだった。俺とは違って理想的な大人だったよ。
Right before this flashback, again, Sign is just dropping wisdom today. If you flash forward that scene or what Sign said, you might just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Children think adults have everything figured out. And a lot of children do idealize adults and grown adults because, again, they assume children assume adults have everything figured out. Let me say one more thing to really drive that thing home. Like I said, children often romanticize and idealize adults as people who mastered everything. They cracked the code to school of life. They're wise. They know everything and so on. But in reality, adults are just children who have grown up and figuring things out as they go. That's the truth. Yes, adults embody more wisdom, more experiential learning, definition right here, learning through experience, experiential learning. So adults are able to maybe take fewer detours, maybe avoid the same mistakes a few more times because they learned. If you're reflective and introspective enough, right? There are plenty of messy adults out there. At the same time, children become adults for the first time. Just like parents are simply children who've grown older and having children for the first time. There is no roadmap. There is no blueprint. There is no formula to teach us how to adult perfectly. I talked about this before. Perfectionism is an excuse to avoid greatness. Perfectionism is an illusion of a false ideal. It doesn't exist. And that's what science said. It is surprising though. I thought Heiter was so dependable and embodiment of responsibility, such a wise and great priest. But then Frieren's like, what? He was corrupt. He would lie, drink all the time, picky with his olives in his pasta dishes. I think both what they're saying is equally true. What Frieren says doesn't take away what Sign said, and what Sign said does not take away or diminishes what Frieren said. Why? To close out, because adults and all of us are multidimensional. We are multifaceted. We embody the good, the bad, and the ugliness. Like at work, we present to be professional and cordial even with those that we don't like. In personal life, we might cuss more freely. We might make clapback jokes like Frieren and FERN. We have different sides of us. How I guess behave and act in these interactions or my reaction is not the same as how I always react with my wife or my best friends or at church or at work. Does that mean I'm fake? No, this is just a different side of me. I'm talking to a camera and I'm interacting with viewers and fans of the channel. So I'm more lively, I'm more animated. But that doesn't mean I'm always this animated and always this lively, because I get tired. I have a full-time job, I have a business and other things. When I interact with high school kids from a high school ministry, because I'm a deacon in my church, I'm more mature. I'm more responsible. I maybe joke less freely as I do now. Not because I'm being fake with them, because I want to establish a good role model and be the adults, because they're children. So same thing. It does not mean that we are being fake. It just means we have different sides of us. And all of us have different sides, which is exactly what Sign is saying there. You bet I couldn't even analyze about that such a brief sentence, but here we are.
These fools could never make me sweat.
だって変わったよね。大人っぽくなった。
Oh, Heights are really aged.
相手に何を言っているんですか。本当は私の心は子供の頃からほとんど
That's a good thing.
大人のふりをして
Exactly what I just
それを積み重ね
said.
てきた。
Exactly what I said.
きっと私は死ぬまで心の支え
Starry
に
sky, Himmel the hero, the sky in heaven.
たくさん褒めて導いてあげないと。
じゃあこっちでは私が褒める。
Aww. Aww. Look at that smile. Oh, this is an awesome scene.
私が天国に行ったら女神様に話をと。
何の真似だ。
ダインはちゃんと大人やれていると思うよ。
Honestly, that might be one of my favorite scenes in the entire show so far. There's so much packed in there and it is beautifully wholesome. So, there's so much there. Where do I start? So, that's a flashback right after what Science said and what I analyzed. And this is another beautiful callback to Frieren's conversation with Kraft the Monk. As some of the viewers suggested that my analysis might have been off, because I thought Frieren was talking about Himmel the hero who praised her when she used a singular pronoun of he is no more. I can't cherish him anymore because he's not here. I thought it was Himmel the hero, but some of the viewers suggested it might be about Heitzer the bishop because of the flashback. And of course, we're not the authors, so I guess we'll never know. And it also could be possible that he, the singular pronoun, was multifaceted. It might be talking about both Heitzer the bishop, who praised Frieren, and also Himo the hero, who also praised Frieren. Neither here or there. But here's what I'm trying to say. That flashback is a continuation from that. And we flash forward within the flashback to Haito the bishop, aged significantly longer as such. And Frieren's like, who's going to praise you? And Haito is like, well, that's what the goddess is for. And what does Frieren say beautifully with such a wholesome, mature smile? Then I'll praise you while you're down here, which is a callback to her conversation with Kraft the monk, like I just said. And what does Frieren do? Frieren pets and I guess smothers Haito the bishop's head. That is such a double meaning there, because who would do that to Frieren in the previous hero's party? Himo the hero and Haito the bishop. That's how Frieren learns the human gesture, the symbolic gesture of affection when they petted her. Not just because she's tiny and small, yes, but also it's a symbolic gesture of affection, which is to my earlier points in the episode, 5 languages of love and different avenues of emotional expressions and affection displaying in different way. So Frieren used what she knows best by giving it back to Haito the bishop, by praising him with the only and the most profound and direct gesture of love. That's why Haito the bishop is like, that was unexpected in a very, very beautiful way. And that flashes forward to Sign. What do we see with that sick transition? Frieren is rubbing Sign the head in the exact same way that mirrors how she praised and recognized and acknowledged Haito the bishop, who is the role model of Sign. And Sign is like, what are you doing? Right? Because they don't have the same deep relationship as Frieren had for Haito. And that's a subtle meaning right there, that the way we praise, the way we display our affection and love also differs. The same symbolic gesture will carry different emotional weights based on the level and the depth of relationship we have. So that's in part what Sign said, that what are you doing? Right? That's probably the first time that Frieren did that gesture to Sign. But as soon as Frieren explains, again, the necessity, not an option, the necessity of expressing her emotion of, you have matured, you're a grown adult, you're a good adult, to Sign. And then Sign just stays there, no more callback, no more joke, just sits there while Frieren is petting Sign's head, while the cigarette ash is falling off, because Sign understood in that moment what that gesture meant, which is the exact combination and summarization of the lover's quarrel between Stark and FERN and their mending and their reconciliation. This is such a wholesome scene, very deep.
これがお姉さんからだったら最高だったんだけどな。
ならよかった。
Oh, the bracelets.
お姉さんはなかなかいないよ。
So before the next scene, damn, I've analyzed so much and this is only the first half of the episode. Wow, this episode is crazy. There's a lot of psychological undertone and symbolism in this episode. I want to close off before the second part of this episode with FERN's bracelets that Stark eventually purchased together, which is the mirroring of FERN buying the bracelets for and with Stark together. In Stark's 18th birthday is the bracelet, because Stark got a bracelet for his birthday and FERN also got a bracelet for her birthday. And the last thing I want to say is, even with the earlier conversation that I forgot to say, because there's so much in this scene, Sign's like, oh yeah, as we grown older, adults understand relationships better. Adults understand relationships better. But Frieren's like, what relationships? And Sign's like, oh gosh, we have 3 children. Here is the paradoxical truth about Frieren. Frieren is the embodiment of eternal youth, forever youth that also embodies the seemingly infinite wisdom. That's why Frieren can consult Haito the bishop, who is a lot of advanced age. And Haito doesn't mind if Frieren pets his head as praise, because he knows that she has lived so much longer and embodies so much more wisdom. At the same time, as what also Sign said, speaking of all of us are multi-dimensional, different sides of us, Frieren also still does not understand fully about the human condition, the human emotions, and relationships, with her ongoing grief and emotional confrontation about Himmel the hero. So that's what Frieren embodies. She's this character of paradox, seemingly immortal, seemingly infinite wisdom, but also at the same time forever youth, with the personification of her very teenager-like appearance. So Frieren is such a byproduct of masterful writing, and it's hard to build a character in this epic, seemingly epic fantasy world building because it requires so much subtlety, so much emotional building, character building. And honestly, if Frieren were the trope of this extremely powerful mage with this elf as a background, just annihilate everything like One Punch Man style that I talked about in the earlier fight, this show would not be the best anime when it came out. And this show would not garner so much support and attention and love from so many viewers like us and alike. It's because of the subtlety that makes this show a masterpiece and a category of one. They're going to a new town. Accessory shop.
商売上手だね。フェルンはそういうの好きだったよね。あれ、ブレスレット新しく買ったの。
She's shy.
可愛い衣装だね。私同じデザインの指輪持ってるよ。前にヒンメルにもらったんだ。多分フェルンとお揃いだよ。そうなんですか？どこにあったかな。あれ？もう整理整頓しないから。あった。
Whoa, landmine? What is that? Oh, the ring! It is the similar design. Oh, the ring!
ごめん、油断してた。
Whoa, I think there is a lot there again. Dude, this episode has so much subtlety and so much undertone of symbolism. Again, I could be overthinking, but we learned that one can never overthink in a masterful, subtle anime such as Frieren Beyond Journey's End. So here's my another analysis take. Frieren noticed FERN's birthday bracelets that Stark purchased and gifted together, and FERN got very shy and he's like and then she glanced at Stark, who was of course sleeping, right? As Sign said, Stark is not the most conscientious, which is pretty funny and accurate. And he's just the 18-year-old boy, right? And as soon as the merchants asked Frieren, there's a jewelry shop. Do you want to stop by? Remember what I said, and I noticed throughout 14 episodes to date, jewelries does carry, I think, additional layer of symbolism for this show. Again, shout out to the masterful writing of the authors and writers. Frieren's like, oh, I'm not that interested in jewelry. FERN, are you interested? Right before she noticed the bracelet on FERN's arm. And then after the dialogue, and Frieren's like, oh, wait, I also have a similar ring with a similar design as your bracelet. I think the undertone here is Frieren still has not fully grasped the significance of their ring, which was gifted by Himmel the hero, I think in episode 1, with a flashback, and as some viewers suggested, since I do read all the comments. So Frieren still, on one side, she says she doesn't appreciate and doesn't care about jewelry because she doesn't grasp the symbolic gesture and the emotional expression that's carried behind jewelry and gift giving, part of 5 languages of love. But on the other side, Frieren's like, oh, where's the ring? And we've seen numerous flashbacks and callbacks of Frieren looking for and looking at that ring. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, Frieren saw the ring and looked at it in the luggage when she gave the vulgar potion to FERN for Stark's birthday. So obviously she cares deeply about the ring enough that she looks at it, and that ring makes numerous appearances throughout the season of this show. At the same time, she doesn't fully understand the emotions it carries, which is part of her ongoing struggle and ongoing journey with emotional expression and confrontation of love and emotionality behind symbolic gestures. So we'll see how the second part of this show goes, because I think the way the jewelry played a role in the beginning of this part 2 of this episode is how this episode is going to close out. And I think we'll see a through line and a constant theme of what that really means for Frieren and probably Himmel the hero based on how this show goes. So we'll see. Oh wow. Avian monsters? Oh, interesting dilemma.
馬車くらいなら浮かしたりできんだろ。
シュタルク、空飛ぶ馬車。私たち人類が空を飛べるようになってからまだ40年も経っている。
Because it was a demonic magic before it became a human magic.
上だったんだ。人類がそのまま転用したもので。
難しいことはいいから、俺にも分かるように話してくれ。
人より大きなものはわずかな時間しか飛ばせない。私は商人を連れて飛ぶから、フェルンはザインをお願い。
なあ、俺は？
シュタルクは飛び降りて。
何言ってんのこの人。死んじゃうと思うんだけど。
戦士ならこのくらいの高さで死なないでしょ。
死ぬに決まってんだろ。何わけわかんないみたいな顔してんだよ。
おかしいな。アイゼンは自由落下程度ならどんな高さでも無傷だったよ。
Yo, how much HP bar does freaking Aizen the Warrior have, dude?
ハイターがドン引きしていた。
Unrivaled warrior.
おかしいのはアイゼン様だと思います。では、地面にしどうですか？
自由落下を相殺できるか計算しない。威力を殺しきれないと私たちはごちゃ混ぜのミンチになっちゃうから。
なんか怖いこと言ってる。
どちらにせよ早くした方がいいんじゃないか。
Sign's so chill, he's still smoking a cigarette.
そう。
Yo. Oh, the free fall spell. Real quick, again, shout out to all the viewers who comment helpful hidden insights that it's hard for me to catch because this is my first time watching, all right? So there's only so much capacity to my brain juice and my analysis take. So I really do appreciate the insights. Here's what I mean. A lot of you guys pointed out that human magic, and I know there's different magic systems in this show that continues to unfold, right? The demonic magic, and there's a human magic, which includes like Frieren's elf magic, human magic. I think the goddess magic is also a branch far off the human magic branch or the humane magic branch. Like the flying spell is usually or originally the territory, the domain of demonic realm, but then humans and elves learn to copy it and replicate it to their own usage. Even the calculus, the calculation that Frieren is saying, and when she was explaining the mechanism behind the free-for-all magic, the weights before they get minced into smashed meat, as some of you guys highlighted, which I do appreciate, is magic in this anime represents science. There is the natural science, there's a mechanism of science. Why do things work the way they do? Thermodynamics, physics, and so on. So it's very interesting that magic in this show is not limitless. It's not seemingly just blast away at whatever magic spell, but there's mechanism behind it. You have to understand why does it work the way it does before you utilize such magic spell. So that's additional interesting layer and the intricacies and the subtlety of masterful writing in this show. But how badass was Frieren when she just jumped out, huh? That was pretty cool. The horse is still floating.
どういう計画？馬は軽傷だった。治療も終わったぞ。
Oh, the healer, the priest is OP, dude.
むしろ感謝しています。私一人では死んでいましたから。
True.
しばらくは馬車の修理だな。
しいの。
She can't find the ring? Watch, the ring's gone.
最近暖かくなってきたな。
そろそろ衣替えですかね。
そういやフェルン、そのブレスレットって。
はい、シュタルク様からの誕生日プレゼントです。
It's nice bracelet.
に3時間もかかったぜ。
結局シュタルクが選んだのか。
私が好きに選んでほしいと言ったので。
おう、なるほどな。大変だったなシュタルク。一番苦労するパターン。
これはいけるのか。顔色を伺いながらの3時間。生きた心地がしない。
かわいそうにな。
They're empathizing with each other. I'm
でも
dead.
気に入ってもらえたからよかったよ。
Five languages love, gift giving, quality time.
しかし、やるじゃねえかシュタルク。お前はもっとヘタレかと思っていたぜ。あの衣装は鏡レンゲ。花言葉はクオンの愛情だ。
Eternal love.
じゃあ、あれは恋人に贈るものだぜ。
シュタルク様。
Eternal love.
知らなかったんだ。誤解だよ。っていると思うか。
そうですよね。バカですもんね。
いつにも増して辛辣。自分だって知らなかったくせに。
何か言いましたか。
なんでもないです。買い直し
Nah,
ましょうか。
Fern likes it.
これはシュタルク様が一
She
生
probably
懸命
likes it
選
even
んだ
more.
私に
Eternal love.
二度とそんなこと言わないで。
See?
ごめんよ。
They're definitely gonna become lovers.
何ですか？
Mark my words.
なんでもねえよ。
Wait, real quick. So if the ring that Himo the hero gave to Frieren, as Frieren said, the design of the ring is very similar to the design of the bracelet, which actually means eternal, forever love. What does that mean? That did Himo the hero also understood the meaning of the ring before he gave it to her, Frieren? Or was Himo the hero also not as conscientious as Stark was? Which I highly doubt, because as many viewers pointed out, Himo is him, right? Play on words, but he is him. So he is truly the personification of hero in every sense of that word. So he's very emotionally mature. So I'm sure we'll see this, and I'm sure, and I predict that's how we're going to end the episode with. I think Himo the hero understood the magnitude and the symbolic gesture of this specific ring, if it is indeed eternal love, as what Sign said about the bracelets design, versus Frieren's ongoing understanding and learning of these symbolic gestures and emotional expression. And because that's exactly how this episode started. So my question is, did Himo the hero understand the meaning of the ring or not? Because Stark definitely didn't, and also Fern didn't. But of course, Fern, I'm sure, secretly or maybe even subconsciously appreciates and adores the bracelet even more because of the emotional weight that it carries. We shall see. The subtlety in this show is freaking insane, dude. Oh, I love this show. Oh. Frieren the blanket? Oh, I love the music too. So wholesome, so beautiful. Is she still looking? She's still looking for the ring, huh? Walking by herself at night.
馬車の修理が終わったので、明日の早朝には出発するそうです。そう。
So,
毎晩抜け出していますよね。何を探しているんですか？
looking for the ring.
メルからもらった指輪。
Called it.
手伝います。見つかるまで出発を待ってもらいましょう。
Fern understood the significance.
今夜見つからなかったら諦めるよ。
What?
なくし物には慣れている。
What? Oh, she doesn't get it.
もらったものはあれだけじゃないしね。
Frieren doesn't get it.
これと同じ鏡レンゲの衣装の指輪だ。花言葉はクオンの愛情だそうです。
Fern is teaching Frieren.
どうでもいい。ヒンメルもそんな花言葉知らなく
Dude, this is a deja vu of what I just asked before. What the heck?
きっと大事なものです。みんなで一緒に探しましょう。
Oh, Fern is teaching Frieren.
言ってくださればよかったのに。
The privilege of the youth giving
私の
back.
村でも昔から装飾品をなくされる方はそれなりにいました。なくした装飾品を探す魔法。今回の報酬としてお渡しするつもりだった魔法の一つです。
Like a coupon? Whoa, where's she going? Damn! Yo! It's like Superman scene. Whoa, look at the details. Wow, the detail of this animation is wild.
討伐依頼で頑張ってくれたからね。好きなものを選んでくれ。
Ski
ア
knife.
クセサリーか。
Another mirroring and parallels of Stark and Fern.
じゃあこれでいいや。
早いな。
Oh, Mirror Lotus?
いや、
Himo the hero knows what the ring meant. That's why he paused. Yo, Himo the hero is him. Did she cast a ring finding spell? Yo, she used magic to look for the ring. Oh, what a beautiful scene.
フリーレン。
Frieren.
ありがとう。
Is he gonna put it up? Put on the ring for her. Come on, him. Did he get on his one knee? Yo, no freaking way. Bro, man. He got on his one knee and put on the ring for Frieren. And Frieren found the ring. Eternal love.
諦めなくてよかった
Mirror
ですね。
Lotus.
フリーレン様。
Of course she's glad. Come on, smile for us, Frieren. Yep,
そうかもね。
she got it. Dude, what a wholesome episode.
ブレスレットしてるの。
シュタレク様がバカだからです。
ひどい。
Stark's in the... Dude. Wow. Do I have a unknown secret power of prediction and seeing the future? Maybe I should buy Powerball and lottery after this, dude. Like, what the heck? That was such a beautiful scene, and for real, this episode I think is a really, really specially wholesome episode, and I love this episode. I didn't have to cry because I'm recording Violet Evergarden, the episode 10 that everyone's been warning me and sending me courage about after this recording, after taking a little break. So I'm glad that there were no onion ninjas in this episode, even though it was beautifully wholesome. Second, dude, the Himo the hero got on his one knee and put on the ring to Frieren. Frieren didn't know the meaning or the emotional magnitude of that ring, but Himo the hero did. That's why he paused, because I'm sure he knows the focal lore and the meaning of that ring in this area, because it's the same town. And even this town symbolizes a temporal perception. She was here with her previous hero's party and had the exact same shopping ring experience as the present hero's party with Stark and Fern, with the passage of time, even though many years have gone by. So that's amazing. This town is a symbolism of the passage of time. Secondly, who puts on the ring as a male to a female in a heterosexual dynamic? For proposal, for lovers, for a couple. And Himo the hero understood that the ring that Frieren happened to pick out casually meant Mirror Lotus, eternal love, which I think is a unique local culture to this town. That's why he didn't even encourage her to look for a different ring. He was happy with it. And then when they were walking side by side beautifully in that scene, in the exact same hallway in the township, Himo the hero paused with this dramatic wind, his hair flicking and his, I guess, whatever his outfit, flying in the wind. Very dramatic, heroic scene. He got on his one knee and put on the ring to Frieren, who Frieren, I'm sure, didn't know what it meant, because she didn't know anything about human gesture or human emotions back in the days. But now, back to the present tense, when Fern was asking Frieren, aren't you glad that you didn't give up? Aren't you glad that you looked for the ring? And with a brief pause, as I predicted, Frieren smiled and said, maybe. Because I think Frieren at last learned or relearned another symbolic gesture of the past with the present growth and evolution of her emotional learning. What a beautiful, beautiful episode. Wow. So, if you found my analysis helpful as always, if you love this episode as much as I did because of the undertone of a psychological concept and symbolism, smash that thumbs up and subscribe to catch the next series. It really helps the algorithm boost, but also it ensures that you do not miss my next video of analysis. And share this episode with one friend. That's my request. It helps the algorithm, like I said, but also it shares the love. And it really boosts the viewership of this masterpiece because we love this show so much. And as always, till next time, peace.